Hello, welcome to the self-learning platform by Dr. Sushma Singh. Today we start Unit 11, Jawaharlal Nehru. We are going to discuss individual freedom and equality. Nehru was a Democrat by nature, temperament and conviction. He held individual freedom and equality as important components of any democratic polity. According to Nehru, the creative spirit of man could grow only in an atmosphere of freedom to promote and preserve the values of human life. Both society and individual must enjoy freedom. The purpose of a democratic society, Nehru held, was essentially to provide necessary conditions of creative development. Why must India accept the democracy process? Nehru gave the following reasons. It is not enough for us merely to produce the material goods of the world. We do want high standard of living, but not at the cost of man's creative spirit. His creative energy, his spirit of adventure, not at the cost of all fine things of life, which have ennobled men throughout the ages. Democracy is not merely a question of elections. Nehru believed in the primacy and autonomy of the individual. The state had no right to suppress the individual. No development could be attained if man's creative abilities were to remain suppressed. Nehru's concept of individual freedom necessarily implied freedom of speech and expression, of association, of many other fields of human activities. The general health of a society, Nehru believed, was largely determined by the freedom of its people. In Nehru's democratic thought, equality constituted an important component of his concept of democracy. The spirit of the age is in favor of equality, Nehru declared. The doctrine of equality, according to Nehru, meant equal opportunities for all. It presupposed a certain faith in and respect for humanity as a whole, and a belief that the progress and well being of individuals, groups, or races mainly depended upon the enjoyment of equal opportunities by all, with more opportunities to the weaker sections of society. Now, the next point is Nehru on parliamentary democracy. Indian cultural traditions and historical experience under the British rule helped Nehru to support the parliamentary democracy instead of presidential system of the USA. Parliamentary democracy is much more flexible to accommodate diverse social groups. No social group is allowed to go out of the system as the system is ready to bear the agitation organized by such a group to a point. Even Nehru did not agree to the demands of such groups but accommodated their demands in a democratic process. Once the system accepts the demands, the agitation fritters away. For instance, the state's reorganization on the basis of language is a classical case. There was hesitation by Telugu people for the separation of Andhra from Madras Presidency. Nehru, as the Prime Minister, accepted the demand by constituting a committee of reorganization of states on the basis of language with some reservation. This is the spirit of a democratic leader. Very often, the leaders may not agree to the point of theoretically but accepted it as the best policy for creating a healthy system. Once the states are reorganized on the basis of language, the Indian democracy functions as a federation, though in the constitution it is written as a union of states. In practice, it functions as a federation. Federation helps in building an institutional framework for nurturing the cultural identities of our linguistic groups. In the Indian constitution, there is a distribution of powers between the center and the states. Legal and institutional arrangements hold the key to democracy, while linguistic federalism provides the flesh to the skeleton democracy. This political arrangement has been working for 50 years without creating problems of unmanageable magnitude, though there are problems for the Indian Federation from the peripheral states. Parliamentary democracy supports a cabinet form of executive that can accommodate each state and community in it. The formation of Council of Ministers helps to give a place to each group and state. This creates a healthy federation by accommodating and incorporating representatives from different groups. In the presidential system, it is not possible as the formation of the executive becomes prerogative of president. Further, there is a chance that the president can turn into an authoritarian personality. This is not possible in the parliamentary system. The prime minister is one of the council of ministers, though he is the leader of the house and leader of the nation. He cannot but be a democrat as he listens to various viewpoints not only from the ministers as his colleagues but also from the chief ministers. Nehru was always in constant communication with the chief ministers. Sometimes there was opposition from the chief ministers to his viewpoint, but he listened to them. In the case of Hindu Code Bill, he had a strong difference with the President of India, Rajendra Prasad, but he tried to accommodate Prasad's viewpoint in making the Hindu Code Bill, though he characterized the bill as a conservative one. Nehru opposed the intervention by the president as unconstitutional on the grounds that in the Indian democracy the president is a nominal head. As a prime minister, he recognized the president's position and wanted the latter to lead as a friend and guide, and not as a master of the team. Parliamentary democracy depends on the balancing of institutions. Nehru played a decisive role in bringing a balance between the legislature, executive, and judiciary. He had a high regard for the legislature. He made it a point to attend every session of Lok Sabha. He tried to listen to the opposition with a sharp attention. He saw to it that his cabinet colleagues did some homework before attending the session. He, as a team leader, provided leadership to his team for performing better in Parliament. He cooperated with his colleagues and the opposition leaders for showing to the world that India's nascent democracy functions well. The outside intelligentsia who did study the functioning of Indian Parliament gave due recognition to Nehru as a parliamentarian who got due cooperation from the opposition and his colleagues. There were many stalwarts on the opposition front, leaders like Lohia, Masani, and Kriplani. There were political leaders outside the parliamentary system like J.P. Narayan and Vinoba who recognized the leadership qualities of Nehru. Very often, these non parliamentary leaders, branded as the saintly politicians of this country, had a bigger influence in politics than the political parties, and Nehru was able to get necessary cooperation from these outstanding leaders as well. He directed the administration to provide all cooperation for making the Bhudan movement a success. Parliamentary democracy depends on the periodic election for getting a mandate of the people, wherein a political party puts forth an election manifesto and faces the election, which is conducted by the natural authority, the Election Commission. The Congress, under the leadership Nehru, faced the general election to Lok Sabha and secured the majority in the Lok Sabha and formed the government at the center. It is interesting to note that the Congress party under Nehru's leadership faced the general election successfully till he was alive. He placed an election manifesto in 1946 general election regarding the abolition of the Jamindari system. The general public gave wide support to him, though the election was held before independence. His leadership was recognized and got legitimacy among the people of India. In the 1952 general elections, the manifesto of the Congress carried the question of the implementation of the program of the first 5-year plan document, which contained the state's role in both the rural and industrial economy. The public accepted his overwhelmingly. The Congress party won each election on the basis of its performance, competing with the opposition political parties like Socialist, Swatantrata, and Communist. But Nehru had a high regard for these political leaders and parties. He helped some of the leaders to get elected in the by election to the Lok Sabha. and did not field any candidate against the opposition leaders. He was concerned about the quality of the debates in the parliament, which was possible only with the presence of the top leaders on the opposition side. Moreover, participation in electoral politics strengthens the parliamentary democracy. Competitive politics is based on a participation of different political parties with a different ideology. Election becomes the festival for the parliamentary democracy. Nehru used to participate in these festivals with all seriousness. Election studies conducted by the independent academia show that the Congress had got the electoral support from each section of the society, both in terms of caste and class. Electoral politics help in the mobilization of various social groups into the system, whose demands keep increasing the capacity of the political system. Here we want to wind up this lecture. Thank you so much for your attention.